So I'm gonna be honest with this video. This versus battle probably will be a lot shorter in comparison to the other versus battles that I've done in the past few years. Obviously on this channel I only have one versus battle, which is Furta versus Arima, which link to that will be in the description down below. But on my old channel I did do a handful. I think I did like 5. So this will be the second one that will be on the channel. I decided not to upload Kaneki versus Ihei just because that video is way too long for me to really spend the time and sit here and edit it. As well as the fact that looking back on it, it's kind of obvious who the victor would be. So I feel like maybe it's not even worth talking about that and editing that for like 30 minutes just for you guys to automatically know the outcome. So today we're going to be talking about Hairu versus Touka, and to be completely honest, this was a versus battle that I actually have been thinking about doing on this channel for a while now, and the main reason for that is because I got in a debate with this versus battle about a year ago with my friend Ibby, and this, like, initially you look at this video and you're like, Hairu, like, what the hell is Hairu gonna do? But if you actually go back to the manga, Hairu has a lot of hype behind her, and she actually lives up to the hype. And if we're being real, she kind of got like beaten because of plot. And I'll explain why a little bit later in the video. But fun fact before we continue on, Hairu is actually one of the characters that Suishida has admitted that he felt like that he wasted and he wanted to do a lot more with in the series. Because if you go back to the video where I talked about like Suishida's most recent interview, I believe it was, Suishida actually says in there that he like regrets killing her off and he wished that he did a lot more with her. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. And to be honest, this is going to be mainly, I guess, Touka from Rei versus Hairu in the 2 volumes that she's in the manga. And to be completely honest, like, Touka really doesn't have that many showings in Tokyo Ghoul Re. She has a handful, and I will be going over them, but most of her showings in the entirety of the Tokyo Ghoul manga are from part 1 and the beginning of it, which is kind of an unfortunate thing when it comes to this versus battle. So let's hop right into it immediately. So as always, when I do these versus battles, one thing I do like to do is the fact that I like to keep the characters as, like, I kind of like to have them bloodlusted, I guess. So both of these characters are going at each other with the intent to kill them, all right? It's not like one of those really dumb situations. Like, for example, if Mutsuki fought Touka, Touka would probably body her, not necessarily because Touka's stronger than her, just due to the fact that Mutsuki, when she fights Touka, she fights really dumb. And so I'm going to keep them bloodlusted, so it's kind of like we get to see the full extent of their abilities, but also keep them somewhat in character, just due to the fact that some of these characters do become kind of cocky, and all that stuff, if that makes any sense. And I guess I'll explain a little bit more as we continue on with the video. But as usual, I'm going to be going through each character and explaining what exactly they are capable of doing, and sort of like doing a mini power scale for them. So let's get into this. The first person that we're going to talk about is actually Touka. So Touka obviously is the main female protagonist of the Tokyo Ghoul story. She's pretty strong, but unfortunately, after the first half of Tokyo Ghoul Part 1, Touka really doesn't do a whole lot. Most of the times that we see her fight in the entirety of the story are against ghouls around her same caliber, or who are significantly weaker than her. Like in the case of Tsukiyama, her and Tsukiyama were relatively around the same level, or at least were stated to be around the same level, though I have my doubts about that, and I'll explain that in a little bit. And then you have Nishio, who she pretty much one-shotted, and didn't even use her Kagune in order to do so. She actually just used her nails, which is kind of interesting. But going back to her fight with Tsukiyama, this is probably like the main thing that you could use to scale Touka, that alongside her fight with Ayato, which is the fact that Tsukiyama is actually a ghoul who has an RC type that is technically supposed to be stronger than Touka's, or has a better advantage over her due to the fact that Ukakus obviously have really bad stamina, and Touka, out of all the Ukakus that we actually see in the series, probably is up there one of the worst when it comes to stamina, in comparison to, like, I guess, comparing her to someone like Eto or Takizawa or Amon or whoever the hell. Touka has really bad stamina. And then you have where Tsukiyama has a Kokaku Kagane, which is meant to be more defensive, and I've always speculated out of all the Kagane types probably has the most stamina. And Tsukiyama is a little bit weird because obviously the Tsukiyama family aren't capable of getting Kakujas due to the interbreeding that's been inside of their clan, as well as the fact that Tsukiyama, I feel like, is way faster than the average Kokaku user. I would actually say that he might be the fastest, if not one of them. And you have where initially he's fighting against Nishio, who isn't using his Kagane, by the way. Kaneki, who also isn't able to use his Kagane, and Touka, who is using her Kagane, but is kind of at half strength due to the fact that, you know, she ate human food prior, so she was weakened, and then just by getting one bite from Kaneki, she's able to forcibly overpower Tsukiyama, not even, like, beat him via strategy, she just overpowered him and defeated him, which Tsukiyama at that point in time definitely was at full power, and we didn't really have a ranking for Tsukiyama. I don't really think he's S-ranked then, just due to the fact that the first S-ranked Ghoul that we actually get to see, who actually kind of holds that title, is Jason. Though I've said it before that the ratings in Tokyo Ghoul are a little bit inaccurate. I would argue and say that Tsukiyama here is probably around like A+, maybe borderline S. And Touka holds the S spot relatively well, and Jason's probably a little bit stronger than what CCG gave him credit for, because I'm pretty sure CCG wasn't aware of the fact that Jason had a Kakuja. But whatever. So you have where Ayato shows up and just completely demolishes Touka. Now, it is kind of implied that Touka wasn't going completely all out due to the fact that Ayato is her younger brother and she wouldn't really want to do anything in order to harm him. But still, Touka wasn't even really able to hold her own against Ayato, and it's very obvious that Ayato was just outclassing her in every type of way. So, since we know that, obviously, according to Kaneki, Ayato is not nearly as strong as Jason, according to him, and I'm assuming this is Jason probably not even in his Kakuja, probably not even stronger than base Jason, and you have where base Jason had a rating of like S+, and you have where Touka isn't even as strong as Ayato, but she also has the rating of S. She's probably on the lower tier of the S spectrum. And to be honest, once you get to Tokyo Ghoul Re, the strength between Touka and Re in part 1 really isn't that different. The only difference between there you can assume is she, like, honestly, you can even argue and say that Touka might have gotten weaker due to the fact that Touka most likely wasn't training as much as she was in part 1, due to the fact that she was on the run for so long, as well as the fact, well, not necessarily on the run, but she was trying to live a more human life due to everything that happened with Onteku. And you have where, on the other hand, the only new thing that we actually see her show is, one, she has her second wing, which is good, meaning that her Kagane did become stronger, as well as the fact that she gained the electrokinesis ability, which is definitely no joke. I mean, we see Touka during the Ghoul prison raid. She actually is able to deflect the attack from both Mogen, who's using Higher Mind, which, if you remember, Higher Mind was able to body Coma, a double S rated Ghoul, and also being able to deflect the attack from Zebusu, which is Kyoko Ora's Quinke, probably one of my favorite Quinkes in the series, by the way, which is essentially like a rocket launcher / like dual-bladed sword, which on contact, when it hit Ayato, blew him apart and he wasn't able to fight for the rest of the battle. So yeah, Touka with her electrokinesis ability, just by like releasing it seemingly full power, is able to deflect the attack from two Quinkes that are of the S to S plus spectrum, or double S spectrum. I think Zebusu's double S and Higher Mind is S. I'm not entirely sure. But either way, immediately after this, if you look at Touka, she is panting, and it's clearly obvious that she cannot spam the electrokinesis ability. It's clear that the strength difference between her and Yomo, and stamina difference between her and Yomo when it comes to using electrokinesis, is very vast. Like, Yomo is able to kind of seemingly spam it and not have too much stamina issues, whereas Touka seems to get wheezed by it just by using it once, and I'm assuming she can probably only do it like 2 or 3 times without being just fully drained. So yeah. And I mean, there is another fight that Touka does end up having, and both of them are with Mutsuki. And like, to be honest, I've said it before, Touka versus Mutsuki is such a weird matchup because in just terms of overall strength and finesse, Mutsuki would body Touka, but in terms of just because of the situation, the fact that Mutsuki is insane, and her hatred for Touka caused her to make really dumb mistakes, Touka would get the advantage over her, and that's exactly what happened. I mean, Mutsuki, for whatever reason, thought it was a good idea to put Touka in a chokehold, knowing that Cogni's come out from a ghoul's back, and then Mutsuki got stabbed. So, in that fight, it's obvious that Mutsuki had the advantage, but because of the fact that Touka is a smarter fighter, she was able to win. So yeah. Now going on to Hairu. All right. So Hairu, bruh. This chick is a monster. Freaking Hairu is an absolute savage when it comes to taking on ghouls. And mind you, there's a lot of hype in Hairu. We don't get to see Hairu fight that much in the series. Very similar to Touka. I would actually say that Hairu fights way less than Touka even does in the entirety of the Tokyo Ghoul manga, which makes sense because she's only in 2 volumes, whereas Touka's in the entirety of the story. Hairu in all of Volume 4 of Re is just being hyped up by the people around her. You have where when she encounters the people of Tsukiyama's family, obviously they're not all of them were fodder, but a pretty big portion of them are really not that notable. You have where the ghouls there are damn, this chick is really, really fast. What the hell? And Hairu, you see her dodging and just weaving through all of these Kagnes, these Rinkaku tails that are trying to hit her. And Hairu's dodging them without much effort. You can even say, in some ways, the way how she's dodging everything is very similar to the way how Arima would, which makes sense due to the fact that she's a half-human and she's from the Sunlit Garden. Now, I do want to bring up that not every single half-human in Tokyo Ghoul is extremely impressive, due to the fact that, obviously, if you look at Yusa, in comparison to the other members of the other children of the Zero Squad, Yusa's obviously probably the best one in terms of just what he's done. And to be fair, Shio and Rikai didn't really get that much spotlight to see them what they're capable of even doing because they were killed off so quickly. Yusa's probably the best looking one, and even Hisao isn't that impressive in comparison to the Quinks. I mean, she's probably right. I would argue and say that between her and Aura are probably relative to each other, but you have where freaking Aura is just a character who happens to be a Quinks, whereas Hisao is a character who came from the Sunlight Garden and is also a Quink. So that kind of says something. So I do want to kind of bring that up, that not all people from the Sunlight Garden are really impressive, but you have where Fura, who happened to be Arima's partner way back in the day, back during the days of Tokyo Ghoul Jack, actually states that Hairu as an investigator, how strong she is actually kind of terrifying. It's terrifying that someone of her age is this powerful, and it's very obvious that she would probably rise through the ranks very quickly. I mean, you have where even Sasaki flat out says oh yeah, she joined CCG when she was 16 or 17, and at age 20 or 21, she's already a senior class investigator, or a okay, so a senior class investigator, or I believe it's called a first ranked investigator in some translations, is the same ranking that Heisei Sasaki had at the beginning of Tokyo Ghoul Re, at least up until the point of the Rosewald arc. Right after that arc, he was promoted to associate special class, but Hairu was of the same ranking. And obviously, like I've said before, rankings and TG aren't the super, the best indicator of strength. They are somewhat of a gauge, but so many people in that ranking vary, right? And I personally believe if Hairu lived all the way up until the end of Tokyo Ghoul, even all the way past the time skip, she would most definitely be a special class investigator, and she's probably in the category of a lot of different people in the series who I personally believe have either inaccurate ratings, or if they, because of how CCG was just becoming very corrupt, they probably should have a higher rating of what they actually had. Like, for example, Ure, Akira, Mato, as well as Hairu, I feel like all of them could have been special class. Hairu more on lines of probably associate special class, and I guess you can even argue the same thing with Akira, but if she lived all the way up until that point, she most likely would have rised up. I mean, you even have where they talk about how she's literally Arima's newcomer, and people talk about how, like, oh, Hairu, it's really weird that someone as young as her is already like assigned to associate special class investigator, or not associate, a special class investigator. That must mean that she has the strength to keep up with them, which was Ui. And Ui is probably, he's most likely on the mid to lower end of the high tier of the special class investigators. I need to like redo my special class ranking because of the crap that's been stated about Hoji. He's probably way higher than what I originally gave him credit for, but I digress. I mean, we've seen characters who have been partnered up with special class investigators before get a higher ranking. I believe Ui was actually partnered with Arima in part 1, and in part 2 he's a special class. Same thing with Suzuya, he was partnered up with Shinohara, and after the events of the time skip, he's a special class investigator. So you can kind of say the same thing for Hairu. Now, Hairu was beaten because of plot. You have where like Suki, like, so Hairu, all right, so Hairu, she fights Matsume, all right. The first time she encounters Matsume, she like just dominates her, and then the second time when they fight during the actual like Rosewald raid, the Tsukiyama family raid, whatever, you have where she is beaten, but initially when she encounters Matsume, who I believe is an A+ ranked ghoul, right? You have where like they're going at it, like Hairu's using Aus, or whatever the hell it's pronounced, the machete. She's fighting against her, and they're relatively even. And the thing about this is it's kind of contradictory in the Viz translation, because you have where Matsume is like, oh, no matter what I do, all of my attacks aren't getting through, and Hairu like seems relatively calm, but Kijima's watching and he's kind of like, oh, that's really weird. Hairu is struggling. So I'm just going to assume that Hairu actually was struggling, but she was keeping up a face to make it seem like that she actually wasn't. You have where like they're relatively even, and you like Matsume is odd because I feel like she also has an inaccurate rating, because if you look back at the flashback that she has like with Tsukiyama's dad and how Tsukiyama's dad like washed her or whatever, right? Back when she was a child, Tsukiyama's dad says, if you're going to become like the shield for the Tsukiyama family, you must become strong enough to be able to defend against the person who you're trying to protect. And that would mean that Matsume realistically would have to be around the same tier, if not just as strong as someone like Tsukiyama, who is able to hold his own against Heise for a little bit, right? And also is an S-rated ghoul. And definitely hold on to the S rating, because we see him and Naki are like the same tier of strength, right? And so you have where, if we're going by that logic, and you have where Matsume is able to knock back Hairu, that it's not like Hairu got defeated by a fodder ghoul. And one thing I do want to bring up is the fact that Hairu is actually stronger than Matsume, because you have where, during the fight, Matsume knocks back Hairu, like she knocks back the sword, and you even have her Hairu comments like, oh yeah, that shield that she's using is really powerful, I can't wait for that to be mine. And you have where she's knocked back, when Hairu's about to attack Matsume again, but the moment she lands, her leg kind of slips because of the blood on the floor, and she's like, oh, like the blood. And she loses balance of herself, and when she's about to like strike, she misses, and Matsume, however the hell you pronounce her name, she stabs Hairu in the stomach, and even after that, Hairu's still not dead. Like I said before, she's a half-human, she's physically fast, or like she's just physically stronger and faster than an ordinary human. And you have where there's humans at, like, peak humans are capable of killing ghouls with their bare hands. Like, we've seen Amon do this, Takeyomi, Kuroiwa, and I think even Shinohara all of them have done stuff like that. So you can assume that anybody who's a half human, or at least most of them, could probably do the same thing. So you have her, like, Hairu's just chilling on the ground. She's like, oh, like, I have a hole in my stomach. Like, what the hell? And then she, like, starts freaking out. She's like, give me my goddamn Quinque right now. And I'm assuming this is probably her strongest Quinque, which is T-Human. Now, T-Human in the anime is very different than the way how it is in the manga. In the anime, it's like a Kamehameha blast for some reason. I'm not sure why. Whereas in the manga, it's just like thunderbolts. Very similar. It's pretty much the exact same as Narukami. If not, they might even be the same exact tier of just strength. Narukami might be a little bit stronger because it belongs to Arima, but they both have the same exact rating as S+. So, yeah. And you have where, when Hairu uses this Quinque, right, she's firing, like, the lightning bolts at Matsume, and Matsume even says, like, my shield is not going to be able to hold this up. And if you look, like, the thunderbolt, like, the electricity coming from the Quinque is literally starting to tear through her shield, and Matsume would have been defeated if it wasn't for that ghoul jumping in the way, literally getting cut in half by the thunderbolts, mind you, like, split in half straight up, and then he, like, decapitates Hairu, and that's how she's defeated. So Hairu got beaten because of, one, luck due to the blood on the floor, plus a pseudo-friendship power-up that Matsume got from thinking about Tsukiyama's father and how she has the determination to protect Tsukiyama. I'm gonna be honest, if we obviously know that Hairu does become very cocky, and this has been shown, and that's kind of one of the main reasons why I feel like she ended up slipping due to the blood as well. She wasn't able to comprehend that because she was becoming very overconfident. If Hairu is being overconfident and is not paying attention, whereas Touka in Ri keeps a very cool head, Touka is going to defeat Hairu. But if Hairu's serious, kind of like how she is for the most part, and you see the way how she's dodging like all these attacks and stuff from multiple ghouls, mind you, at the same time, who are probably at least all A. We don't have an official rating, but obviously all of them are probably around that tier, and then Matsume is an A+ rated ghoul. Hairu's gonna tear out Touka apart. She's fast. She's just as fast as Touka, based off of like the statings, because we see like her like compared to ghouls who are very, very quick. Like if ghouls are commenting how fast she is, I'm pretty sure she's as fast as a Ukaku ghoul. I feel like that definitely says something. She's probably just as fast as Touka. She has more stamina than Touka, and even if Touka hits her with an RC shard, an Ukaku shard, if it even manages to hit her to begin with, because we've seen ghouls be able to weave through RC shards before. I mean, Kaneki was able to do it after his fight with Jason. Mutsuki was able to do it during her fight with Touka. And I think Heisei also does it in his fight with Takizawa, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. And, I mean, even Suzuya is capable of doing it when he's fighting Ayato. So, like, dodging RC shards isn't really that difficult to do. And someone who is compared to a special class investigator and is brought up so highly by CCG, not to mention as a half-human, definitely is dodging Touka's RC shards. And to be honest, even in a fight like this, let's say if Hairu is playing very strategically, Touka has really, really bad stamina. And I feel like the only way Touka is going to hit Hairu is with her electrokinesis ability. And even if she is unable to hit her, Hairu's just going to finish her off right then and there, or she can just counter with T-Human. So, yeah, I'm pretty sure that if Hairu's going into a fight where she knows she's going to fight a S-rated ghoul, which is a higher rating than Matsume, mind you, she's not going to just go in holding one Quinque. She's probably going to have both T-Human and an Ouse on her at the same exact time. So, yeah, Touka probably gets demolished by Hairu, if we're being real. And it's not the fact that Touka's weak, because she's not. It's just that Hairu is a really, really bad matchup. And I feel like a more even matchup for Hairu would probably be someone on the lines of Mutsuki. So, yeah. Anyways, that's kind of my thoughts on the whole entire situation. I just think due to the hype, as well as what we see Hairu do, and the fact that she wasn't really beaten in a legitimate way, and clearly Suishida feels confident enough in her ability that she could have stuck around longer in the story if he didn't decide to kill her off. and he even says that he regrets doing so. I'm pretty sure that she can probably beat Touka. And like I've said before, Touka doesn't really seem that much more impressive in the manga compared to the way how she was in part 1. The only difference is literally just the electrokinesis. So yeah. Anyways, that's kind of all I have for this video. Thank you for watching. This video ended up being a lot longer than I originally thought it would, but yeah. So if you guys want any other versus battles, since I am on winter break now, or I'm going to be in like after tomorrow, I can probably do these once a week. So just comment down below which video you want me to do later. I'm thinking Mutsuki versus Hairu, actually. I think that would actually be a really good battle. Either that or like probably Ihei versus somebody, or even Suzuya versus Amon, because I've seen a lot of people ask me about that. So yeah. But anyways, thanks for watching. Remember, comment, rate, subscribe as always, guys. I love you all. Hawk signing out. See you guys.